Okay, so I'm going to explain my Juri Commander deck to you guys today. It's a Pauper deck. The only uncommon in the deck, as you can see from listing up here, there's one uncommon, 99 commons, is Juri themselves. It says whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on Juri. When it dies, it deals that much damage to any target. As you can see, there's an extensive list there which we'll go through, but here's some of the reasons why those cards went in a deck. Specifically to make cards that make treasure tokens to sacrifice, improvised weaponry, that'll deal 2 damage to any target and create a treasure token, which actually helps you ramp into other things. Young Red Dragon, you can pay a red and a colourless for an adventure side of things to create a treasure token, but it also can be cast as a 3/2 flying dragon as well, which is also a lot of fun. Exhibition Magician. This is cost of red, 2 colours for a 2/1, and when it enters the battlefield, choose one. You can actually create a creature token with it as well, or a treasure token. So I can create a 1/1 green-white citizen creature token, or you can actually create a treasure token. So depending on where you're at the game, you can be cast for either. Plundering Barbarian. When it enters the battlefield, choose one. Destroy target artifact, which actually could be handy in some occasions, or pry it open. Which is to create a treasure token as well. Deadly Dispute. This card here, when it was first spoiled in the set that it was first released in, was a great card. It's a great combo card as well, especially with these Rakdos style sacrifice decks. In addition to cast these spells, sacrifice an artifact or creature, draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. So this not only ramps you, but actually helps you draw as well. Great combo piece in any Pauper deck that is applicable in. Anything in black really, especially if you want to sacrifice a creature that'll deal damage equal to its power to something. This is actually fun too. I've actually used this with Juri himself when someone's gone to blow it up, remove from the game. I've actually sacrificed it to deal damage equal to its power. I've also got to draw 2 cards out of it and create a treasure token, which has actually helped recast him again out of the command zone. Grim Bounty, this is just basically can destroy a target creature or a planeswalker and create a treasure token. So that's the upside. You can use cards like Murder if you just wanted to destroy the creature, but creating the treasure token is actually a bonus. Impulsive Pilferer, this card's great too. When it dies, create a treasure token, so you pretty much swing in with it. It's got Encore as well, so you can actually exile this card from your graveyard for each opponent. Create a copy of it, and it attacks that opponent if able, and it gains haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of your next upkeep. Now, the great part about this is, considering with the Encore cost, it'll create, if you've got 3 opponents in the game, 3 copies of this creature, so when they all die, you'll get a treasure token for each one of them. So that's actually really impressive ramp for a 1-drop 1/1. That's the reason why it went in the deck. Hoarding Ogre, this one here, basic creature, when it attacks, roll a d20. 1 to 9, create a treasure token. 10 to 19, create 2 treasure tokens. Or if you roll a natural 20, it's 3 treasure tokens. So, great card. No matter which way you lose, you're always going to get yourself a counter anyway. And it's a basic vanilla red and 3 colours for a 3/3. Brazen Freebooter. This one, when it enters the battlefield, simply create a treasure token. So it just does it on its end of the battlefield. Seize the Spoils, an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. This went in the deck very similarly on the same reasons Deadly Dispute went in. It's a good draw and ramp spell, which is really good for recasting your commander if you've had to sack it or it's been killed before, so it's really fun. Okay, so then we'll go on to the creatures that make tokens to sacrifice. Okay, Mog War Marshal is a red and a colourless for a 1/1. At the beginning of your end step, it's got Echo. At the beginning of your upkeep, if this creature came into control, under your control since your last upkeep, sacrifice unless you pay its Echo cost. When it enters the battlefield or dies, create a 1/1 Goblin. So if you want to put him into play, he'll give you a 1/1 goblin as soon as you cast him, and if you don't pay the echo cost, he will sacrifice himself and give you a second token. I choose to do it a different way. When it enters the battlefield, I'll get my red goblin creature token, then I will sacrifice it with one of the with something like Deadly Dispute to create a treasure token and draw cards. And then you don't have to pay the echo cost at all, so that's a lot of fun too. Dragon Fodder just creates 2 red goblin creature tokens. Rakdos Commander, exactly the same thing, creates more goblins. Chidney Rebel, when it enters the battlefield, create a red Phyrexian goblin creature token. Goblin War Party, you can create 3 creature tokens, or you can give all your creatures +1/+1 and gain haste until the end of the turn, or you can entwine if you want to pay its entwine cost, which you choose both if you pay its entwine cost, so you can actually pay X amount of mana for late game to do both. Okay, so cards that are sacrifice outlets. Now these are important to use with Juri, so you have something to sacrifice these creatures, indoor permanents to be able to put the 1/1 counters on your commander. So I went with Makeshift Munitions. This thing's great. Even if they go to target a creature to kill it with a kill spell, you can pay 1, sacrifice that artifact or creature and deal 1 damage to any target, which will again trigger Juri. Cutthroat Centurion. This is great if someone's casting a board wipe. You can sacrifice all the creatures you have to this, and then as your last effect, sacrifice Juri, which will do X amount of damage equal to its power. And consider it gets 1 for each time you sacrifice a creature. This is a key sacrifice outlet you don't need to pay mana for, and it's also good for mid to late game if you get this guy through for damage. You can sacrifice X amount of other creatures, give you +2/+2. You can only do that once each turn, which can potentially make him a 4/4. But it is a free sack outlet, so if they want to target a creature, literally sack it. Varacasia, this one here is the permanent sack effect that you can do multiple times in a turn, so you can pretty much sacrifice any creature that gets targeted, any creature you want to get rid of, anything you need to be able to boost Juri through to get damage through, or if they've killed Juri. As a fast effect, you can sacrifice X amount of creatures, and so it gets X by 1 counters. Pretty much the reason why that went in the deck. Defiant Salvager, sacrifice an artifact creature, put a 1/1 counter on it. You can only do this anytime you can cast a sorcery though, so it needs to be in your main phase or your second main phase, but then you can do that multiple amount of times, so anytime you can cast a sorcery. So during each of your main phases you could do this. Boost him up, put a 1/1 counter on him actually, which is actually pretty good. Sepulchre Ghoul, sacrifice another creature, gets 2/2 at the end of turn. You can still only do that once each turn. So yeah, just another quick sack outlet. Leopard's Visceral, Leopard of the Des Vigil. You can pay 1, sacrifice a creature, each pay to lose a life, you gain a life. Now this thing could be good on a board wipe if you've got 6-7 mana open. You can sacrifice X amount of creatures, so they lose life, you gain life. Again, just another sacrifice outlet you can use. Soul Reaper of Mogus. You can pay black and 2 colours to sacrifice a creature, draw a card. This may be relevant at some stage in the game, and plus it's a 2/3 creature, so it's got a reasonable defense for a 3-drop. Okay, so now cards, spells you can use as sacrifice outlets to get rid of creatures, to kill other creatures, etc. Spark Harvest, an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature or pay 4 colourless. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. So this has got a dual ability there, so you can kill either a creature or planeswalker. We've got Bone Splitters, which the same as Spark Harvest, you sacrifice a creature, destroy target creature. Annihilation Glare, same thing again, same as Spark Harvest pretty much. You can destroy target creature or planeswalker. Village Rites, this one there, pretty much I'm going to kill your creature, well I'll pay 1 black, sacrifice and draw 2 cards. Which again triggers Juri, makes him bigger, etc. Okay, so now cards that deal direct damage or as removal spells. Some of these do counter up with the sacrifice. We go with the traditional Shock and Lightning Bolt, of course, for a bit of direct damage. Diabolic Edict, this thing is great too. You can even target yourself if you want to just sacrifice a creature if you've got no other sack outlets out. Or you can force an opponent to sacrifice a creature, and if they've only got one out there, etc., they just have to sacrifice it. Murder, literally just destroy a creature. Spark Harvest we've gone through. Bone Splinters, Annihilation Glare. Vanquish the Weak, this gets rid of those little bomb one creatures that you want to kill off. So that's a lot of fun. Feed the Swarm, this will actually get rid of a target creature or enchantment your opponent controls. You'll lose life equal to the permanent's mana value. But, you know, a great removal spell for a 2-drop. It is actually a sorcery. Terminate, destroy target creature, can't be regenerated. Some creatures back in the day used to have regeneration abilities, not many of them have them now. But it does actually stop the creature from regenerating. Soul's Fire, okay. So when you've sacrificed enough things to Juri, you can, it says target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to any target. So this could be actually a game finishing move too, to finish an opponent off. Because as I say, you've got your Juri at a, say, 15-15, and you've got through to your opponent, and they're down to, say, 11 life. You can use this spell to finish them off. That's actually really good. Very cheap spell for what it does. Abrade, this is a multi-use card. Every time it's been legal in any set or any format, it's actually pretty powerful because you can deal 3 damage to target creature or destroy target artifact. So it's direct damage and it's an artifact killer as well. In Commander there is a lot of artifacts around. This thing actually works really, really well. Smash and Dust, this thing does multiple different things, which I really like. So if you come up against a Weenie Goblin deck or a Elf deck and they've got a ton of 1/1 creatures out there, this can actually deal 1 damage to each creature your opponents control, so that's all opponents. Or you can destroy target creature with Defender or destroy target artifact. Okay, so cards that return creatures from your graveyard to your hand, because some of these creatures you will want to have back into your hand to use again. Macabre Waltz, return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand, then discard a card. So if you say you've got an extra land, you're a 3rd or 4th turn in, they've killed a few of your creatures, you can actually get them back into your hand, which is pretty good because you get 2 creatures back to your hand. Unearth, that just returns a target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that doesn't go back to your hand. So there's a lot of, as you can see, there's a lot of 3-drops in this deck or less. This will actually, and if you don't need it later on in the game, you can always cycle it. Blood Reckoning, return target creature card from your graveyard to the hand. If the spell was kicked, instead return 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. So great mid-game play. Okay, so now I'll go through some of the creatures that we put into the deck and why they went in there. Okay, Acome Hound. This is great because of the landfall ability. It's simply just there for aggro. When you sort of hit mid-game and you don't need him anymore, you can always use him as a sack, which is always fun. Footlight Fiend, when this came out, the set that it was released in, this thing was a monster of a card, because you could always deal damage to any target, just 1 damage. Ginger Brute, great little card. He's actually got 2 abilities because he's a food golem as his archetype. He's 1 for a 1/1 with haste, and you can pay 1 so he can't be blocked except by creatures with haste, or you can pay 2 and sacrifice him and gain 3 life. So that little bit of life might actually get you through some of the things as well. Goblin Arsonist, when he dies, he deals a point of damage. Goldhound, now this thing's great because it's actually a treasure. Say when you sacrifice treasure for mana, so say you drop this guy first turn, and you don't pick up a black second turn, you've only got the 1 mana, you can actually cast Juri the Commander with this guy. So that's actually pretty handy. Okay, we've already gone over the Pilferer. Prickly Boggart, love this guy. He can't block, he's got fear, he can only block except by black or artifact creatures, so if you're not playing against a black or an artifact deck, he pretty much walks through every time. Torch Courier, you can sacrifice another target creature gains haste until the end of the turn, and he is a 1/1 haste himself. We've been over the Sea of 2. Okay, Body Dropper, this is another one that plays really well alongside Juri. Because whenever you sacrifice another creature, put a 1/1 counter onto it, and you can sacrifice another creature and it gains mana till the end of the turn. Now this thing can get out of control pretty quick, especially with Juri on the table as well. As you can see, Juri has a very similar ability, but this is whenever you sacrifice a permanent. So that's why they work really well together. Firebrand Archer, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, as you can see, we have 30 spells in this deck that are not creature spells. Plus you've got the artifacts and enchantments, so pretty much 33 spells in the deck, so they will gather up in damage over time. Gixian Infiltrator. This is a great card for it, especially being a common level as well. Whenever you sacrifice another permanent, put a 1/1 counter on it. So it has the same ability as Juri, except for when it dies, it doesn't deal as damage to any target, but still a very, very fun card. Goblin Death Raiders. I pretty much threw this in the deck as just 3/1 Trampling Goblin, which you just don't see real often. It's an older card out of Shards of Alara. I just love the card, love the artwork. That's why it went in the deck. We've gone over the Death Vigil before and the Marshal. This guy, he's pretty much, when he dies, you can deal 2 damage to any target, which is actually pretty good, and it's used as a sack outlet. If you want to sacrifice it to something, just to get that 2 points of damage through. Or if he attacks and he's not blocked, you can actually sacrifice it and do 3 points of damage all up. Okay, so this is whenever a creature dies, scry 1. That's when a creature I control dies. Since you'll be sacrificing a lot of things, a lot of scry spells will help you dig through your deck. Just in case you top deck a land you don't really want, this thing's actually really handy to have with it. We've been over the Ghoul as well. Okay, this one says sacrifice another creature until the end of the turn. Bogodan Dragonheart becomes a dragon with base power of toughness 4/4 and haste. So there's another sacrifice outlet, which will actually turn him into a flying dragon, which could be really handy if you've got mostly walking creatures. We've been through the Centurion. We've been through that as well. Dragon Egg. Okay, so whenever it dies, create a red dragon creature taken with flying. He's actually another good sacrifice outlet. Or if you want to block some big stompy guy that hasn't got trample, let him die and get yourself a flyer out of that. Been through the Magician. Okay, Filigree Familiar. Now this, when it comes into play, you draw 2 life. You gain 2 life. And when it dies, draw a card. So he's a great outlet if you hitting, say, 3rd turn and you need some life or you need something to sacrifice. You can put him into play and sacrifice him pretty much straight away. And that's why he's always fun. Plus I love the artwork. Okay, Phyrexian Ghoul. Sacrifice a creature, gets 2/2 at the end of the turn. It's pretty simple. It's a sacrifice outlet that is fast. It is also very cheaply costed, and pretty much if someone wants a lightning bolt, you can sacrifice another creature to boost it up. Pretty much why it's in the deck. Thundering Barbarian was seen. We've been that as well, and that. Exquisite Huntmaster. When it dies, create an elf token. So he's pretty much when he dies. Plus he's actually got the Encore ability as well. So, same as with the Pilferer, when he dies, you can play 4 to exile him from your graveyard, 5 to exile him from your graveyard, and for each opponent, create a copy of him that attacks that opponent. So, when they die, you'll get 3 elves. Hence, you've got some more sacrifice outlets. Hoarding Ogre, we've been through that. Young Dragon. And this one, when it dies, create 2 zombie tokens. So, I know it's 6 mana, but, you know, mid-game when you want something a bit beefier, you get 4/4 out for 6, and when it dies, you can create 2 2/2s. Okay, so we've been through 90% of the spells in this deck. We'll go through some more that we haven't gone through. Okay, so return target artifact or creature from your graveyard to your hand and create a 1/1 colourless soldier artifact creature token as well. So this is great if you've just sacrificed a creature. You can bring that creature from your graveyard to your hand and create a creature as well, which gives you another option to sack. Fling was a natural inclusion in this deck. Additional cost, sacrifice it. Fling deals damage equal to its the sacrifice creature's power to any target. Now this can be a knockout blow for at least one of your opponents with Juri on the table. Especially if you fling Juri, you're doing double his damage to any target. As I said, you can use Soulfire and hit him with that as well, and hit with Fling. You can kill multiple opponents with those 2 spells. Crankcase Command, we've been through these. Terminate, and yep. We've gone through all these before. Bit of Revelation. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 2 of them into your hand and put the rest into your graveyard. You lose 2 life. So, pretty much get to put 2 cards into your hand from the top 4 cards of your library and the rest into your graveyard. So that's a draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. Blood Price. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library, and then you'll lose 2 life. Pretty much saying the reason why that's there for is draw. We've been through that, we've been through that as well. Okay, Military Sphere, cost 2 colourless, pay 2, tap it, sacrifice, and search your library for 2 basic land cards, reveal them and put them into your hand, so that's a bit of filtering for your deck as well as getting out extra lands you might require. Haunting Cloak, this thing is great to put on Juri when he starts to get a bit bigger. You know, Vigilance, Trample and Haste, and it costs 1 to equip. Okay, so the lands, now these lands here, there's a lot of these that are just very, very cheap and effective lands. So this becomes a dual land because when Black Dragon Gate comes into play, you choose another colour, and you can tap for black or in that colour. So you would obviously say red. Bloodfell Cliffs is a black-red land comes into play tapped and can tap for and you gain a life. Cliff Gate's the same as the Dragon Gate, except it produces red, so you select the colour black. Command Tower, pretty obvious choice for pretty much every commander deck. Evolving Wilds, just to search for another land. Another red-black dual land comes into play tapped. Basic Mountains. Sulphurous Mire is again another red-black dual land. Then we've got Swamps. These bluff lands, thriving lands are the same. When they come into play, choose another colour. They both come into play tap, by the way. So with red, you'd say black, and obviously with black, you would say red. So that's the basic list for the Pauper version of this deck. There's no the entire budget for this deck is under $24. It is a very playable deck for a common deck. As you can see, it's 100 cards. You've got 30 spells. You've got 33 creatures. There's a good spread there, 33 lands. So you've got a good spread of creatures, spells, and lands, plus your commander himself. You can do, obviously, more expensive versions of this deck. I do have another deck listing with Juri that's a non-budget version, which I may do a video on later. But this is the first Pauper video in hopefully a collection of a few. So, okay, until the next one, I will see you then, and I hope you enjoy the list. Okay, bye.